Hello, Templars. Paladins are golden retrievers in heavy armor that destroy their enemies through the divine power bestowed upon them by pinky promises. Liches are wretched, unholy, undead beings that cling to unlife by throwing an arcane Tupperware party with the goal to trap their soul in the nearest tchotchke they can find. These two are not like one another, but can we mix them up to create a cursed concoction that feels both like a paladin and a lich? I'm Antonio D'Amico, this is Pointy Hat, and we're about to find out in this brand new episode of Which Lich? Paladin Edition. Now, you might be wondering why this video exists. Maybe you wonder that about all my videos. And that's mean. Anyway, why does this video exist when there's already a paladin-shaped lich thing in D&D? That's right, much like the Mummy Lord is kinda sorta like a cleric lich, we have a kinda sorta paladin equivalent to that. The Death Knight. Death Knights are an actual D&D monster, but to me, they don't really scratch that Paladin Lich this video is trying to scratch. In order to understand why this is, we gotta understand what a Death Knight actually is, so let's take a look at them. Death Knights... Stop it, we're not gonna do that every time I say it. Death Knights are very much undead warriors in heavy armor, but to me, they don't really feel like liches, like, at all. I was kinda shocked when I started this little undead dog and pony show, and many people speculated that I wouldn't be covering paladins because Death Knights existed. So why do I feel that way? Well, first of all, Death Knights are made. Yes, most of them are not even in charge of becoming Death Knights themselves, so diametrically opposed to what liches normally are. Plot hole thing against them being liches. They are made by evil gods. Got it, we're going with vague here. But these mysterious evil gods are not the only ones in charge of the Death Knight factory. Demons also get involved in the assembly line from time to time, as well as just evil things, just evil forces in general.
She's tampering in dark-sided stuff!
Liches, to me, are a monster that is defined by seeking undeath themselves, not by someone else deciding that they needed a lich and buying a lich-making kit. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that the association between Death Knights and liches doesn't make sense, because basically since their introduction in literally the first Fiend Folio, they were introduced as lich-like, but I truly think that this refers more to them being, you know, spooky, scary skeletons but wearing armor this time. They're like a Chad version of your regular RPG skeleton mook you mow through in a level 1 to 3 early game dungeon. Death Knights have been used as like a catch-all monster for a bunch of undead martial classes, with Death Knights fighters and even Death Knight barbarians and rangers being a thing, which is to me another ding against them being particularly Paladin-y. The reason why they are particularly associated with the Paladin class is because the poster boy for Death Knights is a Paladin, a guy from the Dragonlance setting called Soth. Soth was a Paladin, and he kind of dictated what people who know what a Dragonlance is, shout out in the comments to the oldies, think of as a Death Knight. The reason why he became a Death Knight is, believe it or not, adultery. He was the following a god sort of paladin, but through the simping temptation that plagues the mind of many a paladin, he decided to disobey his god, and this landed him on horny jail, which meant that in death, he became a Death Knight. Dragonlance people, listen to me, I am not spending more time on this. The newbies will click off this video so fast if I do. Many of the Death Knights created after this were disgraced paladins, some being turned into Death Knights because they felt so bad at being a paladin that the god they followed got extra mad and turned them into undead beef jerky. Just like Soth, Holy Knight of Simphood. Notice how I've never mentioned phylacteries in this little section? That's because Death Knights have none. Or they do, kinda, sorta. In older editions, Death Knights would be tied to their armor, which means that anyone that killed one and thought of stealing their unholy swag to attain unparalleled undead riz by wearing it would be overtaken by the Death Knight. But this has been scrubbed from 5e pretty thoroughly. Also, carrying your phylactery with you and making it, you know, the thing that literally gets hit when someone is mad at you is barely a phylactery. It feels more like a cursed object, just in general. Death Knights in 5e do not work like this. They are immortal literally because they need to atone for whatever made them Death Knights, not because any cursed object thing. So no phylactery to begin with, but nothing even close to a phylactery nowadays. So that's why Death Knights, to me, don't really fill the lich niche. They don't have phylacteries, they're not necessarily paladins, most don't even decide to become Death Knights willingly. Yes, it's an undead guy, but the similarities kind of end there for me. By the way, this is not a Death Knight diss track. If you like Death Knights, have at it. Put as many beef jerky knights as you please in your games. But if I set off to make a Paladin Lich, the Death Knight existing is not gonna stop me because it doesn't really feel like a Lich to me. So how about we just do that? But a Lich is a CR21 undead monster. They can't just be whipped out anywhere. Although I've heard rumors of a place where something similar, but much more twisted, is rising. A subtropical archipelago teeming with life, but also death, as among pirates and verdant jungles, deep beneath the turquoise waters, lurks an evil that dwarfs that of any lich, a kraken necromancer. What am I talking about? Well, about Torrents of the Spellholder, the seafaring subtropical sandbox setting. Everyone loves alliteration. Torrents of the Spellholder is a 500-page adventure for level 16 to 20. Yes, finally, something that happens after level 10. You are tasked with liberating a city of deep sea elves from a kraken arch-necromancer. Yes, I said kraken and arch-necromancer together in the same sentence. But you can do so much more than that. Find the 8 orbs of magic, Final Fantasy Crystal style, and even end internship on Half-Dragon Island once and for all. And this book is a beast. Let me hit you with some numbers. Torrents of the Spellholder has 25 dungeon and ship maps, 55 new monsters, 24 subclasses, yes, 24, 20 magic items, and 22 new spells and feats.
It's a pirate! It's a pirate subclass! Yay! I love pirates! I like that.
Not to mention stuff like puzzles and rules for naval combat. If you want to get a sense of this book and all that it offers, head to the Eldered Brain YouTube channel for a playthrough, or literally just download the free sample. It's a whopping 120 pages long. And this is not a Kickstarter. You can get it right now. You can grab the Roll20 VTT module, a hardcover book if you need to tippy-tap a physical product, a PDF, and a bunch more stuff like a DM screen, booster cards, dice sets, a bunch of stuff. If all of this sounds fun, not to worry, I have a discount. Go to the very first link in the description and use code POINTYHAT10, all one word, POINTYHAT10, for 10% off discount on all products. And thank you Elder Brain for sponsoring this video. Eagle-eyed viewers might notice that the first word in Paladin Lich is Paladin. So, in order for our Paladin Lich to feel like a paladin, we gotta distill the essence of Paladin. The Pala juice, if you will, and use it in our concoction. So what is this Pala juice? Well, I made a whole entire video on Paladins, and it's somehow one of my most successful videos, thank you guys. And I go in on Paladins on that one and give you a whole subclass for free. But we also analyzed the class, and I think that the essence of the Paladin is not, I don't know, the heavy armor, or the god association, or the fighting style thing, or the smiting, but rather a Paladin's oath. Paladin is the anime protagonist of tanks, and that's because in order to become a paladin, you gotta pinky swear so hard that you gain magic powers from it. A paladin's dogged commitment to an oath is literally what makes a paladin, and not just a guy with a sword. That's just a fighter. Paladins believe so much in what they promise that they can cast spells through their devotion. Ergo, anime tanks.
Believe it.
While other classes have belief or commitment as a core of their identity, like warlocks making a deal and committing to it, or clerics performing miracles through the power of Sunday school, Paladin is the only class that makes a promise and has that promise as the reason why they are the way that they are. Every Paladin subclass comes with its own oath that a Paladin must swear to abide by, lest they be demoted to Edgelord, also known as Oathbreaker, and you know, become a Death Knight if they followed a god and that god is sufficiently pissed about the demotion, which we have already covered is not being a lich. That's why oaths are the essence of the Pally. Cool, so we have it. We have acquired the essence of the Paladin, the Paladin juice. What do we do with it? Well, we follow the recipe. What recipe? You know the one. The Pointy Hat trademark copyrighted, all rights reserved, do not steal Lich recipe, also known by its common name, Fatakurdanesalur. 1. Liches decide it's time to turn themselves into beef jerky. Becoming a lich is a conscious choice, not something that happens to someone that wasn't paying attention. 2. Achieving lichdom is not easy, but it is possible. You become a lich through a ritual that is, once again, hard to do, but can be done. I mean, you have to have a very high charisma score to become a lich. The ritual is extremely subtle, and without a solid grasp of theoretical arcane formulas, most of the conjurations will go over the typical scholar's head. There's also a lich's nihilistic outlook, which is definitely woven into their nature. Their personal philosophy draws heavily from Azerrakian literature. Having the ritual be a real thing that can really happen means that the edgy players who want to embrace the dark beef jerky powers can work towards achieving lichdom during the campaign, and we as DMs must give our toughest battles to our edgiest of soldiers. Number 3. Liches are hungry. Hungry for souls. This is a 5e original, and I think a great addition to the Lich soup.
Got soup.
this food metaphor is getting more and more tortured with each video, oh god. Liches needing to regularly upkeep their own life so that they can continue to unslive makes liches active participants in the world they inhabit, and also really sells the whole futility of chasing immortality at any cost, which is good for what people that have an English degree would call thematic reasons. And finally, number 4. Liches are intrinsically connected to their soul Tupperware, also known by people who don't understand Rick and Morty as a phylactery. This is what makes it so liches actually achieve eternal life, as they will spawn right next to their phylactery when they're killed. Life sort of becomes a hero shooter for them, and yet another example as to why lichdom is a bad idea. Cool. Choice, ritual, phylactery, and ongoing chase for mortal souls to feed said Tupperware. These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect little lich. So now that we have them, and we have our
essence du paladin,
let's make a Paladin Lich. Forsworn are born in the same way all paladins are born, with an oath. A paladin seeking lichdom swears an oath, an undying oath. Most times, paladins do not forsake their previous oath when taking on an undying oath, but those that do become oath breakers before ascending to lichdom. The ritual where a paladin becomes a Forsworn is simply called by other Forsworn as the Accolade. In it, the paladin is knighted anew. The sword used in the Accolade is rested on both of the shoulders of the paladin and then plunged into their chest, piercing the heart and ending their life as a paladin, rising then anew as a Forsworn, beholden to their new undying oath. To those familiar with lichdom and unfamiliar with the ways of the Forsworn, this might seem quite effortless when compared to the ways others achieve lichdom. This couldn't be further from the truth, for Forsworn are liches that achieve lichdom communally. There's no lone Forsworn, there's only an order of Forsworn. Forsworn exist only in groups sworn to the same oath, serving as knights under the same banner. Each member of a Forsworn order must swear the oath, and more importantly, believe in it most fervently. Just like a paladin gains incredible powers from believing and abiding by their oath, a Forsworn gains true undeath through swearing off life, rejecting the respite of death, and doing so as a group of paladins. This ensures that selfish or just personal reasons behind achieving lichdom are off the table for Forsworn, as each must swear the same oath and believe in it with all their will. The exact number of paladins needed to swear the same undying oath is unknown, a closely guarded secret by Forsworn orders, but new paladins can join an existing Forsworn order, strengthening their numbers and, paradoxically, making each member's existence as a Forsworn harder. Forsworn look the same as they did in life, except for the unhealing wound in their chest taken during the Accolade ritual. But if members of the order are killed, their appearance gradually deteriorates. The more members of an order die, the more decomposed the surviving members look, until the last surviving member of a Forsworn order is a walking skeleton wearing the armor of said order. But the death of order members is not merely a matter of aesthetics for Forsworn, it's a matter of life and death. Just like lichdom is communal for Forsworn, so is their key to eternal unlife. Each member of the Forsworn order is, in turn, a phylactery of the members in the same order. This arrangement ensures that as long as one of the existing members of the Forsworn order still stands, the others will come back to the world of the living. But Forsworn are knights, creatures of action. They might fight in gory battlefields or take part in bloody skirmishes and dangerous missions, either to uphold one of the oaths they made, or, more commonly, to feed on the souls of their enemies, the sustenance to their own life which all members share communally within an order. However, each of these dangerous battles and incursions threatens to be the end of that particular Forsworn. If this does indeed happen, all other members of the order must then congregate in the same space and swear their oath again. This is the reason why Forsworn orders don't grow into the hundreds of members. Maintaining a Forsworn order in the hundreds will take the same amount of souls regardless of how many Forsworn are currently alive, and gathering all of the living members under the same roof to bring those that died back would prove impossible past a certain number of nights. Existence within a Forsworn order proves to be a particularly challenging tightrope to walk on, both because there is no shortage of actual paladins that have made it their own oath to put an end to all undead, and also because of the complex ways in which their existing oath might conflict with the reality of existing as a lich that needs to reap souls for sustenance. Regardless of why a new order of Forsworn decided to walk this treacherous path, Forsworn are created by a group of people believing so strongly in their commitment to an oath that they manage to transcend the bindings of life and death. This, along with their communal nature, which is extremely rare in liches, makes Forsworn both powerful allies and terrifyingly powerful enemies. Come on, that's cool. You gotta admit it, or maybe it's just cool to me, but I don't know, I think it's cool. Gotta be honest, this whole Lich concept is born out of my love for villain teams. You know, like a team of bad guys instead of just one bad guy. I talked about this in my video about rivals. And I think Paladins are the perfect casting for that role. They have all this knight flavor. Knights come in orders that all swear the same oath, so why not put that to use? Imagine the storytelling opportunities that arise from this. You can do the whole defeating the team of bad guys one by one. Since Forsworn can retain the previous oath they had as Paladins, what if they had a way in their stat block to feel different? Like you can still get the flavor of the Paladin subclass that was there before the guy turned into a Forsworn. It would make for completely different fights every time you fought one of these and really sell the villain team thing. And if you want your villains to be complex, you can. They were Paladins before. What made them turn into Sir Beef Jerky, Knight of Smelling Really Bad? What sort of adventures could you run with one of these dehydrated knights? Well, how about we come up with a setup for an adventure right now? I don't think you need my help to just make an order of undead guys that are all very evil and very spooky, as fun as that is. So let's go a little bit weirder with it. Remember that small detail about Forsworn looking exactly the same they did in life? What if we played with that a little bit? Let's go. The Holy Sisters of Undying Servitude have been the protectors of the small island nation of Durdam for literal centuries. But contrary to other knight orders, the original members that first formed this order continue to serve the nation nearly 1,000 years after the creation of the order. The Holy Knight Order was started by the captain of the royal guard of the now extinct royal family of Durdam, Sister Milagros, when she could not stop a pirate prince from killing the entire royal family. Durdam has suffered misfortune for centuries, and Milagros could not sit idly by. She swore she would protect Durdam forever, and her resolve was so great that it must have inspired some form of higher power to grant her the gift of eternal life. Guard Captain Milagros became Sister Milagros, and so did her new sisters, who all swore that same oath that fateful day. Sister Zoa, previously a paladin of the ancients, dedicated to protecting the nature of Durdam and the relics hidden in the remote hermitages of the island, found herself powerless to stop the ravaging looters and pirates that came into the island to pillage said relics and torch the hermitages. So she too swore the same oath. Sister Kaya, a pirate captain turned Oath of Redemption paladin after she was saved by the people of Durdam when her ship was completely destroyed during a storm, could not save every fishing village from the pirate threat, especially when captains with grudges against Kaya herself came to settle said grudges, so she swore the same oath. Sister Ursula, who was once a scholar but learned the ways of the sword and became a paladin of the Watchers after learning of something within Durdam that was attracting demons to the island. She believed the demons were mingling and using the pirates as well as their own forces to lay siege to Durdam, and felt powerless to stop the extraplanar attack, so she too swore the same oath. And finally, young Sister Leona, a peasant girl that idolized Milagros as guard captain and wanted nothing more than to be a hero to the people of Durdam like Milagros was. Enough for Leona to swear the oath and become a paladin of glory. The four women swore the same oath to protect Durdam for all eternity from any and all threats, and ever since, they have done just that, ensuring that the small island weathers any and all storms for centuries upon centuries. The people of Durdam worship the Order of the Holy Sisters, and they are seen, rightfully so, as the only reason why Durdam has never fallen to one of the many tragedies that have threatened to destroy the island in its long history, whether it's pirates, demons, or conquest by a larger nation. But what happens when the party finds out that, surprise, shock to all of you that have been watching this video about an order of Paladin Liches, the Holy Sisters of Undying Servitude are, in fact, please gird your loins, Forsworn. True, they lied about why they have not died in 1,000 years, but what will the party do when they discover that the reason the five sisters have maintained their lichdom is that they take the souls of some of the girls the order takes as squires? The sisters have killed thousands, yes, but they've done so to protect millions across the generations. Is that something the party is willing to forgive? Will they fight the sisters and leave Durdam to fend on its own? Or will they find a different way to protect Durdam? Why is this island in constant strife? Is it possible that the sisters have engineered these threats themselves to justify their existence? Or is Sister Ursula right? Is there something in Durdam that has attracted demonic forces? And if so, what? No clue, honestly. I haven't written that far. But you can, if you decide to run this as an adventure. Or hell, a whole campaign, honestly, it sounds fun. All of these ladies, each with their own paladin superpowers? Come on, okay, maybe you don't like that, but if you don't, I guess we're not playing together because I think that slaps. It's a shame that you will have to come up with the Forsworn on your own. You're gonna make a stab block for a Paladin Lich that doesn't feel like a Death Knight, and one that accounts for Paladin subclasses so that fighting each of the members of an order feels different enough. Tough luck, sounds not fun. Would I like to be that guy? Oh, I am that guy. Well, good thing I am because I did. The Forsworn is in the description of this very video, and it's for you to use for 100% certified Pointy hat free. Oh, what's that? You don't know what a Paladin is? Well, good thing I made a video on them right here. And it comes with its own free subclass, the Oath of Wolf. And if Paladins are not your thing, but you still want a Martial Lich, what about a Barbarian Lich that simply refuses to die on account of just being extremely mad? Have fun with that. Mwah! That rhymed.